In the stillness of night, let us drift back through time, to an age when secret temples flickered with the glow of oil lamps, and whispers of the divine were carried through sacred chants. Tonight, we will wander among ancient cults that honored the sacred feminine. Goddesses, priestesses, and women believed to hold threads of the divine. Their stories, woven with mystery and reverence, invite us into a world of calm reflection. As you close your eyes, allow each tale to soothe your breath, to guide you into peaceful dreams, and to remind you of the gentle power that has always flowed through the soul of humanity. If these stories bring you peace, let your spirit leave a quiet mark, a comment, sharing where you listen from. And if you wish to return to this sanctuary again, the night is calm, a quiet sky rests above you. Stars shimmer faintly, like gentle sparks placed on velvet. And in this stillness, the world of story begins to open again. You drift back far into the early dawn of humankind, back to a time before temples of stone, before cities, before great empires, when the earth itself was the only sanctuary, when the whisper of wind through grass was the first hymn, when the warmth of fire was the first altar. Close your eyes in this story and feel the quiet earth beneath you. The soil is cool and alive. The night air carries a sweetness, like the breath of grass and river, and you are not alone. You are surrounded by the memory of the sacred feminine. In the earliest days, people looked upon the world with wonder. They saw life born from the womb of women, and they saw seeds swell in the womb of the earth. The two became one in their hearts, woman as mother and earth as mother. The sacred feminine was not distant. She was not unreachable. She was near, close, tender. Her presence was felt in the rain that softened the soil, in the fruit that ripened under the sun, in the breath of infants carried against their mothers' hearts. Imagine small fires burning in caves at twilight. Shadows flicker upon the walls. Hands draw figures in red and ochre, wide hips, full bellies, the curve of a breast, images carved and painted with care. Not idols of fear, but reminders of the sacred gift of life. The people bowed not in terror, but in gratitude. For every heartbeat, for every newborn cry, for every grain that broke through the earth, all was born through her, all was carried by her. The Sacred Mother. You drift deeper into this memory. A village gathers around a small shrine of stone. The moon is rising. Women stand in circles, humming softly. The sound is like wind moving through tall reeds. Low, steady, calming. Men join as well, adding their voices, until the air hums like one great breath. In the center stands a figure carved from river stone. Her shape is simple, a round body, gentle arms. The people place flowers at her feet. They scatter seeds as an offering. They whisper thanks, as if speaking to the earth itself. This was worship without walls, without kings, without fear. Only the quiet rhythm of life, only gratitude for the mystery of birth, of growth, of return. The sacred feminine was the dawn. She was the beginning, and she was enough. Listen now to the silence between heartbeats. That is where she was found, in the silence of the womb, in the silence of seeds before they sprout, in the silence of earth before the first rains. The earliest people saw no separation. To love the earth was to love the mother. To care for the fire was to guard her warmth. To share bread was to extend her abundance. Every act was worship, because every act was connected to her. The sacred feminine was the bridge between human and divine. Not high above, but here, inside the breath of daily life. Now let your mind wander to a cave painted long ago. The walls glow in the flicker of fire. Hands trace red spirals upon the stone. The spiral moves inward, then outward, like the breath of life. It is the path of birth, of growth, of return, a sacred pattern that repeats in all things. The people believe the spiral belongs to the mother. Her womb is the spiral. Her seasons are the spiral. Even the stars move in spiral paths across the sky. Sit before this painted cave. Listen to the crackle of fire. Smell the smoke curling gently into the air. You are safe here. You are resting in the arms of the ancient mother. With time, her presence grew into names. Each land whispered to her in different words. To some, she was the mother of grain. To others, the lady of the moon. In some valleys, she was the queen of rivers. In mountains, she was the silent one of stone. Yet beneath the names, she was the same. Always the same. The giver. The nourisher. The keeper of cycles. Imagine yourself standing on soft earth at dawn. The sun lifts slowly above the horizon. The light feels warm, golden, tender. It touches your face, and you feel the breath of the sacred feminine. She rises with the sun. She rests with the moon. She carries the world with her endless rhythm. As you drift through these ancient days, you see how people lived close to her. Every seed planted was a prayer. Every harvest was a hymn. Every child born was a festival. The sacred feminine was everywhere because she was life itself. And as you lie in stillness now, you too are connected to her. Your breath follows her rhythm. Your heartbeat echoes her drum. Your body rests upon her body, the earth itself. In the quiet of night, the earliest humans looked at the stars. They believed the sky was another form of the mother, vast, endless, carrying light in her arms. The stars were her children, placed gently across her robe of darkness. To them, the sky and the earth were not separate. One was above, one was below. Together they formed a great circle of care. The people lived within this circle, safe, held, nourished. And you too lie within this circle tonight, safe under the stars, safe upon the earth, always held by the sacred feminine. Time moves slowly in these stories. The people do not rush. They do not count the years. They live by the turning of seasons, by the waxing and waning of the moon, by the gentle rhythm of life. And as you listen, you too can slow down. Your breath follows their breath. Your heart softens into their quiet rhythm. Nothing is urgent. Nothing is heavy. Only rest. Now picture a woman sitting at the edge of a river. Her hands rest upon her knees. She hums a low song to the water. The river carries her voice downstream. It echoes against the rocks, then disappears into the distance. This is prayer in its purest form. Not words, not rules, only sound carried into the endless flow. The river is her companion. The earth listens. The mother listens. And as you drift beside this river in thought, you feel her peace surrounding you, her waters washing your mind clean, her song carrying you deeper into calm. The sacred feminine was not only about birth, she was also the gentle keeper of endings, for just as she gave life, she welcomed it back again. The people saw death as a return to the womb, not an ending but a homecoming. Bodies were placed into the earth like seeds, covered with soil, given back to her embrace. And just as seeds sprouted anew, the people trusted that souls too would rise again. This gentle faith allowed them to rest in peace, to trust the cycle, to surrender without fear, for the mother held all things, from the first breath to the last. Now the fire burns lower in the cave.
Shadows grow longer.
The people lie down upon furs and grasses. The night is safe around them. The stars above watch quietly. The sacred feminine rests with them. Her breath is the wind. Her warmth is the fire. Her song is the stream outside. Her love is the earth itself. You are resting with them now. You are lying in the same circle of care. You are carried by the same mother. Her arms around you, her rhythm within you, her silence soothing you. Let your mind soften as this chapter fades. The dawn of the sacred feminine was the dawn of all things. A gentle beginning, a warm truth, that life itself is holy, that the earth is alive with care, that you too are part of her endless embrace. Now rest as the stars return. Now drift as the mother watches. Now sleep as her silence surrounds you. The chapter closes like a soft breath.
The story moves onward, but your heart may rest here, in the dawn of the sacred feminine. The night opens slowly.
Silver light drifts across the horizon. The air is cool, carrying the quiet hush of the world at rest. Above, the moon rises with calm grace, round and glowing, like a lantern placed in the heavens. It is here, under this gentle light, that the story begins. A story of priestesses, keepers of the moon's rhythm, guardians of night, singers of dreams. The moon has always been a mirror for the human soul. Its cycles, from crescent to fullness to shadow, were seen as the breath of the divine. Every rise and fall was a message. Every glow and dimming was a sign. The priestesses of the moon listened to this language. They studied her rhythms. They honored her changes. They walked in harmony with her silver path across the sky. Imagine them now, standing on a quiet hilltop, clothed in white, their robes flowing like water. The moonlight rests gently upon their faces. Their voices rise in soft song, low, steady, unbroken, like waves meeting the shore again and again. The people gathered below listened, eyes lifted, hearts calmed. For the song of the priestesses was not only for the moon, but for the souls who longed for rest beneath her. The moon was seen as a mother of cycles. Her waxing was growth. Her fullness was abundance. Her waning was release. Her darkness was rest. The priestesses taught these rhythms to the people. They guided planting by the light of her crescents. They guided prayers at her fullness. They guided silence during her darkened nights. The world moved with her like breath moving in and out, and in every rhythm there was peace. Close your eyes in this story. See the moon above you. She is not distant. She is near, tender, listening. Her light touches your skin, as if she has always known you. The priestesses felt this too. They believed the moon carried the dreams of all beings, that her glow was not only light, but memory and care and promise. In some lands, the moon was called the Great Lady. In others, the Night Queen. She was the watcher, the guardian, the gentle companion. The priestesses spoke her names with reverence. Their prayers were not loud, but whispered, not rushed, but drawn out like a long breath. Each word floated into the night and disappeared into her silver glow. Imagine now a sacred grove. Tall trees rise around a clearing. The moonlight falls in soft beams through the branches. At the center, a circle of women kneel upon the grass. Their heads are bowed. In their hands they hold bowls of water. The bowls shimmer with reflected light. Each surface mirrors the moon. Each ripple is a prayer. Slowly the women tilt the bowls and pour the water back into the earth. The moon above reflects once more, this time upon the damp soil. This was their ritual of return, a way to honor the balance of giving and receiving. The moon gave her light. The earth received her glow. The priestesses gave their prayers. The earth received their devotion. The circle was whole, unbroken, endless. The people believed that the priestesses carried the moon's voice. If one was ill, they would go to her. She would sit beside them in silence, her hand upon their hand. She would hum softly, a note that carried no meaning, yet filled the heart with calm. They believed the moon listened through her, that the silver light above flowed into her, then into the one in need. Healing was not hurried. It was not forced. It was a slow release, like shadows fading with dawn. And often the patient would fall asleep beneath her song. Sleep, they said, was the moon's first gift. Rest, her eternal blessing. As you listen now, you too may feel her gift. Your breath slows. Your body softens. The moon above holds you gently, like a mother rocking her child. The priestesses also guided dreams. They believed dreams were moonlit messages, that the night carried wisdom, that sleep was not an end, but a doorway. Those who sought guidance would lie upon temple mats. The priestess would sit nearby, whispering blessings to the moon, and when the dreamer awoke, she would listen to the dream. She would find in it symbols, birds, rivers, flames, stars, all shaped by the moon's silver hand. Her voice would be soft as she explained, not a command, not a rule, but a gentle suggestion, like a path lined with light, inviting the dreamer to walk. The moon temples were often high upon hills, closer to the sky, far from the noise of villages. There the priestesses lived in stillness, nights filled with song, days filled with silence. Their lives were woven with the rhythm of silver light. Imagine climbing a stone path at night. The air is cool. The crickets sing. At the top, a white stone temple waits. The moon above shines directly upon it, as if the building itself were born from her light. Inside, the floors shine with polished stone. Bowls of oil burn with soft flames. The air smells faintly of herbs, lavender and sage. The priestesses move silently, their footsteps like whispers. You sit upon the floor. You breathe deeply, and for a moment you feel as though the moon herself has entered the room. The moon was also a guardian of time. Her cycles marked the months. Her crescents and shadows were the first calendar. The priestesses carried this knowledge. They guided festivals, ceremonies, and moments of pause. When the moon was full, the people celebrated abundance. Fires were lit. Songs were sung. Hands joined in circles of dance. When the moon was dark, the people rested. No work, no noise, only silence, like the silence of the womb. The priestesses kept these rhythms alive. Through them, the people lived in harmony with the sky. Through them, life felt whole. Now imagine the full moon rising above a desert plain. The sands glow silver. The wind moves softly across the dunes. Far away, figures walk in single file, their robes trailing behind them. They are priestesses, traveling to a sacred well. The well is said to reflect the moon perfectly, even when the sky is dark. They approach, lower their bowls, and draw water. The water shines as though lit from within. They drink slowly, believing the moon's spirit flows into them. And as they drink, They sing, a slow, low chant carried by the desert wind, until the night itself seems to hum with them. The moon was not only gentle, she was also powerful. She pulled the tides of seas. She shaped the growth of plants. She stirred the hidden waters within the body. The priestesses knew this, but they did not fear it. They honored it, for power and gentleness are not separate. They live together like the glow and the shadow upon the same face of the moon. Now let your thoughts drift once more to the sky. The moon is above you. Her glow is calm, her presence steady. She has been here since the first nights of humankind. She will remain, quiet, watchful, unbroken. The priestesses of the moon are gone, their temples fallen to dust. But her light remains, and in her glow, their songs are still carried, their whispers still heard, their silence still felt. Breathe slowly. Feel her silver light upon you. It rests on your hands. It rests on your face. It rests upon your heart. She is the watcher of your night, the keeper of your rest, the guardian of your sleep. The priestesses knew this truth. They lived it. They sang it. And now you feel it too. The night softens further. The air grows still. Your thoughts fade like shadows at dawn. The moon watches quietly. Her priestesses whisper in dreams. The chapter closes gently. Let yourself drift as the silver light fades into silence. Let yourself rest as the night carries you deeper. Now sleep as the priestesses of the moon stand, watch above you. The air is warm, yet gentle. A tender breeze brushes across tall fields of grain. Each stalk bends and rises, moving like waves upon a quiet sea. The world seems slower here, softer, as if held in the cradle of an ancient dream. It is dusk, the hour when shadows stretch, and the last golden light lingers on the horizon. Above, the first stars begin to show their faint shimmer as though sprinkling silver dust across a velvet sky. You step quietly through the field. The earth beneath you feels rich, alive, and steady. It carries the scent of soil after rain, deep and nourishing. This land holds memory of seeds placed in soil, of rivers flowing, of prayers whispered by countless generations. Ahead, stones rise like guardians. Carved figures stand among the grass, worn by time, yet strong in presence. They are statues of the mothers of fertility, women of stone, full and abundant, their forms rounded like hills and valleys. Their faces are simple, yet their posture speaks of giving, of nurturing, of holding life in endless cycles. The fields around them bloom not only with grain, but with blossoms of every shade: crimson, white, soft gold, and violet. It is as if the earth itself has chosen this place to celebrate life. And here the statues watch, eternal witnesses to the endless rhythm of birth, growth, and harvest. Once, in the ancient world, many people prayed to these mothers. They were not queens in palaces, nor warriors with swords. They were givers of food, of milk, of rain, of soil. They were the ones who ensured that the seeds would sprout, that the rivers would flow, that the womb of the earth would never fall empty. You can almost hear their names, carried like a whisper on the evening wind. Ishtar, whose temples glowed with candles in the cities of Mesopotamia. Cybele, the great mother of the mountains, who was honored with drums and songs that echoed through the valleys. Demeter, whose grief and joy turned the seasons, whose love gave grain to the people of Greece. And Inanna, radiant in both love and power, blessing the fields of Sumer with her embrace of heaven and earth. Different lands spoke different names, but their hearts sang of the same truth, that life is precious, that the earth is a mother, that abundance is sacred. As night drifts deeper, torches glow near the statues. A circle of women gathers, robed in soft fabrics dyed with earth's colors: brown, red, green. They sing in low voices, their tones slow and steady. The rhythm is simple, almost like the heartbeat of the soil itself. Their hands carry baskets. From them, they place offerings at the feet of the stone mothers: grain, fruit, honey, and fresh water from the stream. Nothing is taken for granted. Even the smallest seed is honored as a gift, a spark of eternity hidden in husk and shell. The women sway, their songs weaving together in harmony. It is not the sound of performance, but of prayer, a melody that calls for rain when the sky grows dry, a melody that blesses children when they are born, a melody that thanks the earth when fields turn golden with harvest. You listen, and you feel your breath slow, The voices rise and fall like gentle waves. Each note carries the weight of ages, as if thousands of years of gratitude live inside this one song. The sound is soft enough to calm, steady enough to guide your heart into rest. In the center of the circle stands one statue, larger than the rest. Her form is round, her arms wide as though holding the sky itself. Her belly is full, symbol of abundance and promise. Her feet root into the ground, like a great tree that feeds countless branches. This statue tells a story, not with words, but with presence. The story of every mother who gives without end. The story of rivers feeding valleys, of rains touching thirsty earth, of hands planting seeds in patient faith. She is not only a figure of stone, she is the rhythm of all that nourishes, the pattern of life itself. You notice how the torchlight dances on her form, creating shadows that shift and move as though she is alive. Her stone eyes do not blink, yet there is a softness, a serenity, as though she watches over every grain of soil, every leaf, every heartbeat. Her silence is not empty. It is full of care, full of patience, full of presence. The women lower their voices. The night grows deeper. Above, the moon has risen, round and glowing, as if answering the call of the mothers below. It, too, is a giver of cycles, waxing, waning, returning, reminding all who look that life is never still, but always moving, always renewing. Children once learned by sitting near these statues. They listened to stories told by their elders. They heard how the mothers blessed the harvest, how the rivers were guided by their unseen hands, how every loaf of bread and every sip of milk was sacred. They learned not by books, but by rhythm, by story, by song. And the earth in turn became their teacher. The listener now too becomes part of this circle, not by speaking, not by moving, but by resting in the gentle breath of this story. The mothers are not distant. They are here wherever the soil is touched by seed, wherever water flows, wherever love nourishes life. Imagine now, walking through these fields in another season. Spring, when flowers burst forth in bright color, carried by the blessing of the mothers. Summer, when the air is warm, and golden waves of grain ripple beneath the sun. Autumn, when the harvest fills baskets and barns, and families give thanks for what was given. Winter, when the land rests, quiet beneath a veil of frost, awaiting the return of life. The mothers are present in all of these seasons, not bound to one moment, but to the whole circle. They are the reminder that life is not only about beginnings, nor only about endings. It is about the turning of the wheel, the endless gift that renews itself with time. Now the songs of the women fade. The torches burn low. One by one the singers rest, their voices giving way to silence. The night holds everything gently. The statues, the fields, the stars above, and you. Stillness spreads, soft as a blanket. The statues seem to breathe with the earth itself. The fields sway in the faint wind, and the moon shines on, quiet and silver, watching as it has watched for countless centuries. In this stillness you feel something steady within yourself, like deep soil that holds roots firm, like water flowing underground, unseen yet always present. This steadiness is the gift of the mothers, a reminder that life is cared for, that nourishment is never far, that cycles will continue with patience, with love, with quiet strength. Rest now beneath their gaze. Let your breath be as slow as the river. Let your body be as calm as the earth. Let your thoughts be as gentle as the wind among the fields. The mothers of fertility remain here, timeless, watching, blessing. You do not need to ask for their care. It is already given. It flows through soil, through sky, through heart. Now drift deeper as the torches fade. Now drift softer as the stars return. Now drift onward as the mothers hold the world in their quiet embrace. The night is still. The air carries the hush of silence, broken only by the faint song of crickets. Above, the stars drift in slow procession, ancient lamps suspended in endless sky. You move gently through the quiet, as if walking in a dream. Ahead, a glow begins to show. It is not the fierce blaze of a wildfire. It is softer, steadier, a warmth that calls, not with urgency, but with calm welcome. You approach a temple, simple in shape, yet timeless in presence. Its walls are smooth stone, pale beneath the moonlight. At its heart, a fire burns. It does not flicker wildly. It does not rage. It glows with calm strength, steady and alive, as though it has never known an ending. This is the sacred fire, tended through generations, never allowed to fade, never left to darkness. It is more than flame. It is memory. It is promise. It is the quiet pulse of life itself. In the ancient world, there were women who gave their lives to this flame. They were called priestesses, daughters of the fire, keepers of eternity. While kingdoms rose and fell, while rivers swelled and dried, their task remained the same: to guard the ember, to feed it gently, to ensure that night never swallowed its light. Their role was not of spectacle, nor of battle. It was the stillness of guardianship, the discipline of presence, a devotion not to conquest, but to continuity. They understood what many forgot, that the smallest light, kept alive, could hold a world together. The fire burned in temples across many lands. In Greece, the goddess Hestia was honored, the hearth itself her altar. In Rome, the Vestal virgins watched over the eternal flame, their duty as sacred as the crown upon the emperor's head. In Persia, the fire temples of Atar carried the holy flame, tended with reverence and care. Though the names changed, the meaning remained the same. The fire was more than heat. It was presence. It was spirit. Step closer now. Within the temple, the fire paints the walls in shades of amber and gold. Shadows rise and fall, slow and gentle, like breath. The floor is smooth, cool beneath your feet. The air carries the faint scent of cedar and resin, gifts laid upon the fire to keep it pure. Around the flame, women move with silence. Their robes are simple, their hair bound away from their faces. Their eyes are calm, steady as the fire itself. Each gesture is measured, each step deliberate. They know the rhythm of the flame, and they walk in harmony with it. They add wood not in haste, but in quiet timing, as though feeding a child with care. They bow their heads in prayer, their lips moving with words as soft as the rustle of leaves. They do not raise their voices. The temple does not echo with shouts. It hums instead with stillness, a stillness that carries both reverence and rest. The flame itself speaks, not in words, but in movement. Its glow sways, leans, rises, settles, sometimes tall, sometimes low, yet always alive. Its sound is gentle, a faint crackle like whispers from another age. If you listen closely, it feels as though the fire carries memory, the memory of countless nights, countless hands, countless prayers. It remembers. And in remembering, it continues. To the ancients, this fire was more than a symbol. It was the heart of community. Every home fire was believed to be born from it. When a new village began, it was this sacred fire that gave birth to the first flame of the hearth. Without it, life felt rootless. With it, every meal, every warmth, every light in the darkness was bound to something eternal. The keepers of the fire carried this knowledge in silence.
They did not claim it for themselves.
They held it, like one holds water in cupped hands, carefully, reverently, never letting it slip away. Imagine now the life of one such keeper. A young girl, chosen in her earliest years, steps into the temple. The world outside is bright, loud, filled with the rush of people and trade. But within she finds quiet. She learns to walk softly, to breathe evenly, to listen to the flame as though it were a teacher. Her days pass not in hurry but in rhythm. Dawn, when she greets the fire with new wood. Midday, when she whispers prayers over its steady glow. Night, when she watches as the stars move above, keeping the fire alive until morning. Years flow like water. The girl becomes a woman, her life shaped by devotion. The world beyond may change, but within, the fire never wavers. She has no need for monuments, for her guardianship is quiet. Yet in silence, she becomes part of the flame's eternity. Her breath, her steps, her care, all of it folded into the glow that has never gone dark. The fire also held meaning beyond the temple. It was the warmth of family gathered close. It was the hearth where bread was baked, where stories were told, where children fell asleep to the sound of quiet crackling. It was the meeting place, the center of village and home. Every flame, from the smallest candle to the grandest bonfire, echoed the eternal one, and through it, the people remembered they were part of something larger. Fire is paradox. It consumes, yet it gives. It destroys, yet it creates. But in the hands of the keepers, its meaning was clear. It was the gift of light against darkness. It was the gift of warmth against cold. It was the sign that life continues, unbroken, through every season. Now the night deepens. The temple glows softly, its flame steady, unwavering. The priestesses sit near it, their faces calm in the golden light. Outside, the world sleeps. Inside, the flame does not. It keeps its watch as it always has. The air is still. The stars above seem to lean closer, as though watching the same flame they have watched for thousands of years. Time itself feels slower, gentler, as though the fire has drawn you into its rhythm, a rhythm not of haste, but of patience, not of clamor, but of care. You rest in its glow. You feel its warmth without heat, its light without strain. You breathe, and each breath matches its rise and fall, steady, calm, unbroken. The priestesses rise one by one. They move with grace, touching the earth, bowing their heads, offering thanks. Their service is not heavy, not burdensome. It is devotion wrapped in peace. They know that their watch is part of something beyond themselves. They are not only tending fire, they are tending life. The flame continues, eternal. And so too the rhythm of guardianship continues, from mother to daughter, from one age to the next, from temple to temple. Always the same light, always the same warmth, always the same promise. Now, let yourself sink into this glow. Let the quiet of the temple surround you. Let the warmth of the flame soothe your body, as though you too sit within its embrace. Your thoughts drift, gentle as embers floating upward. Your breath softens, slow as the movement of shadows. You are part of the flame's watch, not through effort, but through rest. You are its guest, its witness, its companion in stillness. The eternal fire will not fade. It will keep glowing gently, endlessly, beyond this night, beyond tomorrow. Its light is the heartbeat of continuity, of life cared for, of warmth given freely. Now close your eyes beneath its golden shimmer. Now rest as the keepers rest in silence. Now drift as the flame watches, steady and eternal. Let us drift onward, into the night, into peace, into rest. Night has fallen. The sky stretches wide and deep, like a great ocean of dark velvet. Stars glimmer faintly, scattered pearls across the horizon. The moon hides tonight, its light softened behind drifting clouds, leaving the world in a gentle twilight. You drift slowly as though carried by an unseen current. The air is cool, scented with earth and faint herbs. Somewhere in the distance, a low drum echoes, steady like a heartbeat. You come upon a path. It winds between tall stones, worn smooth by the hands of time. Torches flicker along the way, their flames bowing and swaying in the wind. They do not burn bright. They whisper with soft light, guiding but never revealing too much. The path leads into a sacred place, a sanctuary hidden from the world. Here the veils of mystery are drawn, and only those who walk gently may enter. In the ancient world, there were rituals not meant for every eye. There were truths too deep, too delicate to be spoken plainly. The divine was not always displayed in sunlight. Sometimes it lived in shadow, in silence, in secrecy. Priestesses carried this wisdom with reverence, guarding it like a flame hidden within folded hands. The Eleusinian mysteries in Greece were such rites, honoring Demeter and Persephone. They spoke of life, death, and the return of the soul, though their words were never written, never revealed. In Egypt, the hidden rituals of Isis touched the same rhythm, drawing seekers into the mysteries of rebirth. Across lands and ages, sacred women veiled their teachings, offering them only through quiet ceremony, through steps that mirrored the movements of the cosmos. Those who entered these mysteries did not come as they were. They came in silence, stripped of name and burden. They entered in darkness, and they emerged in light. In between, they walked through veils of fear, of surrender, of trust. It was not knowledge alone they sought, but transformation. You step softly now into such a place, a chamber carved deep into stone, hidden beneath the earth. Its walls glimmer faintly, painted with stars, rivers, and winding patterns that circle endlessly. The air is heavy with incense, sweet and smoky, curling upward like invisible threads. A pool lies at the center, its water still, reflecting the dim light of oil lamps. The silence here is not empty. It is alive, full of waiting. At the edge of the chamber stand priestesses, robed in dark cloth. Their faces are half hidden, veils of fine fabric falling like moonlight across their features. They move slowly, their steps measured, their voices hushed. They do not speak to explain. They chant instead, words that are less about meaning, more about sound, syllables that rise and fall like the tide. The sound fills the chamber, soft and steady. It seems to come not from their mouths, but from the stone itself, from the water, from the air. It is the sound of mystery, the sound of what cannot be spoken, only felt. In these hidden rites, seekers often face symbols of life and death. They were guided through darkness to face fear. They were led into silence to release what was heavy, and then when they were ready they were brought into light, into renewal. The priestesses, gentle but firm, held the space between. They were guardians of passage, mothers of transformation. They were called veiled, not because they hid themselves, but because they revealed only as much as the soul could hold. The veil was not a barrier, but a rhythm. It was the way of the moon, sometimes full, sometimes hidden. It was the way of the seed, buried before it blooms. It was the way of the soul, quiet before it awakens. The chamber grows darker. You feel the weight of the earth above, the closeness of stone. Yet you are not afraid. The priestesses move near, their veils brushing softly as they pass. One carries a vessel of water, another a bowl of grain, another a torch of gentle flame. Each symbol whispers of the cycle: water to cleanse, grain to nourish, flame to awaken. They guide you slowly, step by step. You hear the echo of your own footsteps, mingled with the chant that never ends. Your breath slows, drawn into their rhythm. Your thoughts quiet, softened by the mystery that surrounds you. It is as though you are walking not through stone, but through the spaces between life and death, between past and future. To the ancients, these mysteries were not mere ceremonies. They were journeys of the soul. They reminded every seeker that endings were not final, that beneath loss lived return, that every death carried the promise of new life. The priestesses did not give answers. They gave experience, wrapped in silence and symbol, veiled yet eternal. The hidden rites of Demeter spoke of Persephone's descent and her return, a rhythm mirrored in the crops, in the seasons, in the breath of every living being. The initiates who entered left changed, not because they learned with the mind, but because they felt with the soul. And so, the mysteries lived on, not in books, not in open words, but in the memory of those who carried them within. Now the chanting fades, the chamber grows lighter. The priestesses step aside, and before you a doorway opens. From shadow into glow, from silence into song, from stillness into gentle movement. You step through the veil, and on the other side, you feel a softness. The air is fresh, scented with flowers. The light of dawn spills across the horizon, tender and pale. Birds sing, their voices rising like prayers in the morning sky. It feels as though you have left something behind, and yet you have also carried something forward, a knowing without words, a peace without explanation, a mystery that will rest within you, quiet but unshakable. The priestesses remain behind, in their chamber of stone. Their work continues, unseen, unrecorded, yet unbroken. They are the keepers of mystery, the veiled ones, the mothers of silence. Their gift is not clarity but depth, not light alone but the dance between shadow and flame. You walk onward, your steps slow, your body light. The veils of mystery have touched you, and though you may not name it, you feel it. The calm, the release, the renewal. Now, let your breath soften. Let the night hold you, as the priestesses held their sacred space. Let the mystery itself cradle you, a veil not of fear but of rest. The stars return above. The world is quiet once more. The path winds onward into dreams, into silence, into peace. Let us drift onward, into the still night, into the soft embrace of rest. The night is deep. Clouds move slowly across the sky, veiling and unveiling the stars. The soft wind passes, carrying the scent of pine and stone. Somewhere in the distance, water drips steadily, like the beating of a hidden drum. You drift closer, as though guided, step by step, toward a place where time feels different. The path curves upward, climbing the side of a mountain. Lanterns flicker along the way, their flames bowing low against the breeze. The stones beneath your feet are worn smooth, touched by countless pilgrims. Each one once carried questions, heavy as the earth itself. Each one once climbed to hear the voice of the unseen. Ahead the air changes. It grows warmer, filled with the faint fragrance of smoke and herbs. You arrive at a doorway cut into the mountain itself, a cavern dark yet alive. Within it rests an oracle, a woman chosen to speak with the divine. For thousands of years, people journeyed to such places. Kings and wanderers, rulers and dreamers, all came with their questions. Would the crops grow? Would the wars end? Would love return? The oracle did not answer as an ordinary voice might. She spoke with words that drifted like mist, open and flowing, layered with hidden meaning. The most famous of these sat at Delphi in Greece, upon a tripod above a sacred cleft in the earth. There, vapors rose from beneath, carrying the breath of the god Apollo. The Pythia, as she was called, inhaled this sacred air, and her body swayed like a flame in the wind. Her words came soft at first, broken, fragmented. Then, like water finding its path, they formed into streams of prophecy. Priests would write them down, carrying them to those who waited outside in hope and trembling. You step deeper into the cavern. The air grows thick and warm. Incense drifts in silver strands wrapping gently around your skin. The floor is uneven, echoing with every step until the sound becomes part of the silence. At the center, you see her. The oracle sits upon a low seat of stone. Her eyes are half closed. Her hands rest upon her lap, palms open as though receiving rain. Her hair falls around her like a curtain, glinting in the firelight. Her breath is steady, rising and falling, a tide against the shore. A vessel of water rests beside her. A bowl of laurel leaves burns nearby, their smoke curling upward in slow spirals. The chamber hums with a stillness that feels alive, as if every stone listens. Then her lips part, and a whisper flows. It is not loud. It does not need to be. It is the kind of sound that moves not only through ears, but through the bones, through the heart, through the silence between breaths. The voice of prophecy. The ancients believed such voices were bridges, not quite human, not fully divine, but something between. The oracle was a vessel, a reed through which the wind of the gods played their music. Her words were like riddles, not meant to give simple answers, but to open hidden doors. They carried layers of meaning, shifting with time, shaped by those who listened. Some prophecies guided empires, some guided single lives, but all reminded humanity of a truth, that the divine still spoke, not in thunder, but in whisper, not in plain instruction, but in mystery. You linger in the cavern. The oracle's voice rises and falls. At times it trembles like a leaf in the wind. At times it steadies, flowing like a river in moonlight. You do not strain to understand. You only listen, as one listens to waves against the shore. The words are ancient yet familiar. They speak not of events alone, but of cycles, seeds that must fall before they grow, journeys that must descend before they rise, choices that ripple outward, touching not only the one who chooses, but the world itself. The priestesses who served around her move quietly, tending the fire, stirring the incense, pouring water into the vessel.
They do not interrupt.
They too listen, not to capture meaning, but to keep the silence sacred. Not only in Greece were such voices found. In the deserts of Israel, prophets lifted their cries, carrying the fire of vision through wind and wilderness. In the temples of Egypt, women of Isis spoke in trance, their voices woven with the breath of the goddess. In the forests of the Celts, seeresses listened to the rustle of leaves, the flight of birds, the shimmer of stars. Every culture held space for the voice of prophecy, not always the same, yet always familiar. For to seek the divine voice is a longing deep in the human soul, and always those who spoke it carried both weight and solitude. To be an oracle was to live between worlds, never fully belonging to either, to walk with one foot in silence and the other in speech, to be a vessel and yet still a woman of flesh and breath. The cavern seems to expand as her whisper fills it. Shadows tremble against the walls, rising and falling with the flame. The air is rich, heavy, wrapping around you like a cloak. It slows your breath, it eases your mind. You close your eyes and listen, not for meaning, but for peace. The oracle speaks of rivers flowing endlessly toward the sea, of stars burning bright yet dying into night, of seeds falling into darkness only to rise and bloom. Her words blur into images, drifting through your thoughts like soft clouds. They do not command, they do not insist, they simply move, passing gently, like a lullaby without end. Time itself feels slower here. Minutes, hours, they lose their sharpness. There is only breath and voice and silence. The cavern is not a place of answers, but a place of surrender. A place to remember that life is not always meant to be clear. Sometimes it is meant to be trusted, like a river that carries you without question. The oracle leans her head back. Her eyes flutter closed. Her voice softens, like embers fading into ash. The chant of the priestesses quiets. The fire sinks low. Only the steady drip of water remains, echoing in the silence. Her work for the moment is done. Her body rests once more in stillness. Her breath evens out, gentle and slow. You step back toward the doorway of the cavern. The air grows cooler as you leave. Outside, the night still waits, wide and endless. The stars shine brighter now, as though freshly kindled. The mountain air brushes against your face, carrying the scent of earth and pine. You look once more toward the cave, where the oracle sits hidden in shadow, keeper of whispers that have shaped the lives of countless souls. The voices of prophecy remain, not always heard with ears but felt deep within. They are the quiet intuition, the sudden knowing, the soft pull of the heart toward a path unseen. Like the oracle, these voices speak not to confuse but to remind that you are guided, that you are never truly alone. Now the night grows softer. The stars shimmer like distant lanterns, and the air hums with stillness. Your body feels light, your breath slow, your heart at rest. The echoes of prophecy still drift around you, yet they no longer call for thought. They cradle you instead, like hands of silence, like wings of sleep. Let the voice of the oracle fade into dream. Let her whisper become the rhythm of your breath. Let the night carry you onward, into rest, into quiet, into peace. Now rest as the stars return. Now sleep as the mountain breathes. Now drift as the voice of prophecy falls silent and the dream world opens. The night opens with silence. The air is cool, touched by the silver of moonlight. A hush spreads across the land, like a blanket laid over weary shoulders. In the distance, an owl calls once, then fades back into the stillness. You drift gently, as though carried, toward a place where healing waits. The path is narrow, bordered by tall grasses that whisper as the wind moves through them. A fragrance follows you, soft herbs crushed beneath your step, wild mint and sage releasing their calm. The stars above shine in clusters like lamps hung in the sky to guide you onward. The journey does not feel heavy. It feels like an unfolding, like entering a space both ancient and kind. Ahead, a sanctuary rises. Its walls are not of stone alone, but of vines, trees, and woven branches. It is a temple of healing, where priestesses once worked with patience and devotion. Within these walls, the sick found comfort, the weary found rest, the troubled found peace. The sisters of healing were not warriors. They carried no swords, no shields, no banners. Their strength was different. It was the strength of quiet hands, the strength of listening ears, the strength of hearts that chose gentleness, again and again, even when the world was filled with struggle. They prepared herbs at dawn, gathering them from forest and field. They sang as they worked, their voices rising softly like the breath of the earth itself. They ground leaves into powders, steeped roots in water, mixed resins with honey. Each action was more than craft. It was prayer. It was trust that the divine lived not only in the heavens, but also in soil, leaf, and flame. You step through the doorway of the sanctuary. The air changes instantly. It is warm, fragrant, thick with the scent of rosemary and thyme, lavender and myrrh. The light here is golden, cast by oil lamps that burn steadily in clay vessels. The floor is smooth, swept clean, as though every grain of dust has been guided out with care. Women move quietly between the chambers. Their robes are simple, pale as morning mist. Some carry bowls of water, rippling with reflected light. Some carry bundles of herbs tied with cords of flax. Others hum as they arrange leaves upon wide wooden tables. The sound is soft, steady, as though the walls themselves breathe with them. In one chamber, a woman lies upon a woven mat. Her face is pale, her breath slow. Beside her kneels a priestess, her hands resting gently upon the woman's brow. She whispers a chant, not hurried, not loud. Her words flow like a river, smooth and constant, carrying calm into the heart of the one who listens. Another priestess brings water, warmed over a low flame. She stirs into it crushed herbs, their fragrance rising like steam from earth after rain. She dips a cloth into the vessel and lays it upon the woman's chest. The warmth spreads slowly, easing the tension of her breath. The chant continues, winding through the silence like a thread of light. Healing was never rushed here. It moved in time with the body, in time with the soul. Like the turning of seasons, like the flow of rivers, it could not be forced. It could only be tended, watched, and trusted. The Sisters of Healing believed that illness was not only of flesh, but of spirit. The body and the soul were not separate to them, but woven together, like strands of the same cloth. If one was torn, the other felt the fray. If one was mended, the other grew strong again. So they healed in many ways, with herbs for the body, with song for the heart, with prayer for the soul. Each was part of the same work, to bring harmony where there was discord, to bring wholeness where there was fracture. They listened deeply, not only to words, but to silence, not only to pain, but to the spaces around it. Sometimes the healing was not in the medicine itself, but in the gentle presence of someone who cared. someone who stayed. You walk further into the sanctuary. A courtyard opens beneath the stars, where a fountain trickles with clear water. The sound is soft, steady, endless. Around the fountain, herbs grow in careful rows. Mint, basil, chamomile, hyssop, all tended with devotion. The air here feels alive, touched by both earth and sky. 2 priestesses kneel by the fountain, washing their hands in the cool stream. They speak no words, only bow their heads as though honoring the water. For them, water was more than a tool. It was the gift of life itself, the first medicine, the eternal cleanser. They knew it carried memory, that it remembered every touch, every prayer whispered over it. Nearby, another priestess gathers flowers by moonlight. Their petals glow pale against the dark. She places them into a basket, treating them as treasures. Each one will become part of a balm, a tea, a blessing for those who seek healing in the days to come. In many lands, such women existed. In Greece, they were linked to the temples of Asclepius, where dream and sleep were part of the cure. In Egypt, they worked in the name of Isis, mixing oils, chants, and sacred waters. In Celtic forests, they served as wise women, tending fires and preparing brews from oak, willow, and mistletoe. Across the world, they appeared under many names, but their essence was the same. They were bridges between the divine and the fragile, between the seen and the unseen. You return to the inner hall. A circle of priestesses sits in quiet meditation. They do not move, save for their breathing. Steady, deep, united. The glow of the oil lamps flickers across their faces, serene and timeless. In their silence, you feel something beyond words. The silence is its own medicine. Here, stillness heals. It gathers the scattered thoughts. It soothes the restless spirit. It reminds the weary heart that there is nothing to fight, nothing to fear, nothing to resist. Only to breathe, only to rest, only to be. The night deepens. The lamps burn lower. The chants grow slower, softer, like a lullaby carried on fading wind. The sanctuary feels as though it leans closer around you, holding you, protecting you. The priestesses begin to close their work. The bowls are washed, the herbs are gathered. The mats are rolled. One by one, the flames are dimmed until only a few glow in the corners. Their light is gentle, like embers dreaming in the dark. The sisters of healing lay themselves down upon woven mats, resting their own bodies, for they too must be cared for. Even healers need healing. Even givers need rest. Their breathing slows, deep and steady, blending with the hum of the sanctuary itself. You step back toward the doorway, into the cool air of night. The stars shine brighter now, patient and eternal. The grasses whisper again as the wind moves through them. The fragrance of herbs clings to you, soft and calming, as though the sanctuary has wrapped you in its blessing. The Sisters of Healing remain within their walls, but their spirit drifts outward. Their songs flow into the night. Their prayers move through the air. Their touch lingers even from afar, and so you too carry their healing. It rests in your breath. It rests in your heart. It rests in the silence now unfolding around you. The night is gentle. The stars are kind. Your body feels lighter. Your spirit feels whole. The echoes of the priestesses still hum softly, like distant lullabies. They do not call for thought. They do not call for effort. They only invite you to rest. So rest as the sanctuary fades into dream. Rest as the chants become the rhythm of your own breath. Rest as the stars return, watching over you with their quiet light. Let us drift onward into deeper peace. Now sleep as the Sisters of Healing close their eyes beside you. Now dream as their songs carry you through the night. The night opens quietly. The sky is brushed with silver. The sea rests beneath the moon, its waves moving with the breath of the earth. The air smells of salt and hidden flowers carried from faraway shores. You are standing at the edge of a forgotten harbor, where water whispers to stone, and stone whispers back. The sea has always called to humankind. Its tides rise and fall like the rhythm of the heart. Its surface glimmers like a mirror of the heavens. Beneath it lies mystery, depth, and dreams too wide to name. And within its voice, people once heard the songs of goddesses, daughters of the sea, mothers of waves, keepers of life. In many lands, water was seen as the first cradle. Life came forth from its dark embrace, just as the moon is born anew from the night. Seas and rivers carried blessings. They carried food, travel, and trade. But more than this, they carried spirit. Every ripple seemed to hide a whisper. Every wave seemed to hold a secret. And so, people knelt before the waters, speaking prayers to the daughters of the deep. On the coast of Greece, where cliffs glowed pale under the moon, there were the Nereids, maidens of the sea. They were said to move in shimmering processions, dancing beneath foam, guiding sailors through storms. Their laughter was the spray of the surf, their songs the sigh of the tide against rock. When ships groaned against heavy winds, the Nereids were invoked. Fishermen with nets heavy with salt would leave shells and honey upon the shore, hoping the daughters would watch over them. The sea was vast, and men were small, but the sea was also gentle, wrapping those who honored it with soft currents and safe harbors. So the Nereids became symbols of comfort, guardians of those who trusted the ocean's embrace. Farther east, in the wide lands of Mesopotamia, another spirit rose from the waters. Her name was Atargatis, a goddess whose form was part woman, part fish. She was the great mother of waters, carrying fertility and healing through rivers and seas. Temples were built in her honor, their pools filled with sacred fish. Worshippers would gaze into the clear water and see her reflection dancing among the ripples. For the people of those lands, Atargatis was not only the sea, she was also the flow of rivers that fed fields, the quiet pools that healed wounds, the gentle streams that nourished the roots of trees. To honor her was to honor the endless cycle of life flowing from water into earth, from earth into breath. Farther still, along the warm shores of Africa, voices rose in song to Yemaya. She was the ocean mother, protector of women and children, queen of the waves. Her presence was felt in every tide that pulled at the sand, in every shell that shone with pearly light. Her followers cast flowers into the water, gifts of white cloth and sweet perfume. They whispered wishes into the foam, believing the sea mother would carry them across the waves to the heavens. She was strength. She was comfort. She was the rocking of the great cradle of the ocean. When storms gathered, her spirit was called to calm them. When sorrow rose, her waters soothed and cleansed. For many, Yemaya was not only the ocean beyond the horizon, she was also the ocean within the soul. And in the north, where waters turned to icy glass, there were tales of Ran, the sea mother of the Norse. She was both giver and taker. In her wide net she caught sailors who sank beneath the waves. To fall into her keeping was to join the deep halls of the sea, where pearls gleamed like stars and seaweed drifted like silk banners. Though feared, she was still honored, for even the harshness of the sea was part of its eternal balance. She too was a daughter of the sea, one who reminded all who sailed upon it that respect must always come before pride. Across cultures, across coasts, the daughters of the sea moved like tides. They carried the same spirit, though their names changed. They embodied the waters that nourished, the waves that guided, the storms that taught humility. Their voices were the hush of the surf. Their breath was the mist on the shore. Their steps were the tides themselves. Imagine now a sacred night by the water's edge. A crescent moon rests above, thin and glowing. Women gather on the sand with baskets of herbs and bowls of milk. The waves curl gently toward them, glittering under moonlight. They sing in soft tones, their voices blending with the steady rhythm of the sea. Some kneel, casting flowers into the tide. Some raise their hands, palms open, as if to receive the sea's blessing. Incense burns in clay vessels, its smoke curling into the cool night. The air is filled with the mingling of salt and perfume, sea spray and firelight. The daughters of the sea are near, felt but unseen. Their presence is like a hush, like a deep breath settling over the shore. Those who come to honor them feel their burdens ease, their hearts soften, their spirits rocked as though in a cradle of waves. For water heals. It washes the skin. It clears the dust from weary feet. It cools the brow. It cleanses wounds. But more than this, it heals the soul. It reminds each spirit of its beginning, its origin, its endless return. For as every river flows to the sea, so too do lives flow back to the great ocean of being. The daughters of the sea hold this truth in their embrace. They are the memory of the tides. They are the guardians of return. They are the gentle voices calling all beings home. Let your mind drift as the waves drift. Imagine the silver glow of moonlight on water. Imagine the soft pull of the tide moving back and forth, steady and sure. Your breath follows that rhythm. Slow, calm, unbroken. Each inhale is a wave arriving. Each exhale is a wave retreating. The ocean holds you in its endless song. The daughters of the sea sing softly. Their voices are the hum beneath the surface, the low murmur of the deep. Their words cannot be understood, yet they are felt. They soothe, they comfort. They guide. Now the harbor fades. The sand softens beneath your feet. The tide glimmers like silver threads, weaving into the horizon. The moon tilts lower, its light spilling gently across the world. The daughters of the sea retreat into their waters, their presence lingering like a lullaby. Let us drift onward, carried by their waves. Let us rest in their embrace, rocked by the ocean's calm. The tide of dreams is rising now. The sea is singing you to sleep. Rest as the stars return upon the surface of the waters. The night deepens. Candles flicker in golden halls. The air is still, save for the soft rustle of silk, the quiet breath of waiting courtiers, the low murmur of sacred prayers. You are walking now through corridors of time, past carved pillars and jeweled thrones, past chambers filled with incense and hush. Here, queens were not only rulers, they were bridges between heaven and earth. They were seen as living goddesses, crowned not only with jewels, but with light itself. In many ancient lands, a queen was not only wife to a king, she was mother to her people, keeper of mysteries, vessel of the divine. Her voice could bless or calm, her touch could heal or sanctify. Her presence was a sign that the gods had not abandoned their children, but had taken form in flesh and breath. Let us drift first into Egypt, where the Nile moved like a silver serpent under the moon. Here queens often carried the power of goddesses. Some were called the Hand of the Sun, some beloved of Isis, some daughter of Hathor. They stood before their people not only as rulers, but as sacred embodiments of balance and order. Hatshepsut, crowned in majesty, was painted on temple walls with divine symbols. She wore the beard of kingship, yet she also carried the grace of a goddess. To her people, she was both mortal and eternal. She built temples where incense drifted upward, curling toward the skies, each wisp of prayer carried on her behalf. In her rule, the land prospered, as though the Nile itself bent to honor her. Nefertiti, too, shone as though carved from the sun's own glow. Her name meant, "The beautiful one has come." And beauty was more than the shape of her face. It was the radiance of divine presence. She stood beside Akhenaten, yet she was honored as his equal. Some whispered she was more than equal, that she was the very embodiment of the goddess who breathed light into the world. Now drift eastward, where the great palaces of Mesopotamia stood. There, queens were also priestesses, standing between their people and the gods. They walked through temple gates, bearing offerings, pouring sweet wine upon altars. Their voices lifted in chants that echoed against stone, as though the heavens themselves answered. Inanna, the goddess of love and war, was reflected in these queens. To rule was to mirror her power, her beauty, her strength. So queens became living symbols of her descent and her rise, her passion and her glory. When they entered the temple, they were not only women, they were the goddess stepping once more into the world of men. Let us move now to India, where the sacred and the royal often touched. Here, queens were seen as Shakti, the divine feminine force. They were the living breath of the goddess, the energy that made kings more than men. Without Shakti, a king was incomplete, like fire without flame, like river without water. Some queens became legends, honored not only for rule, but for spirit. They sat upon thrones like lotus blossoms blooming from still water. They were compared to Lakshmi, goddess of wealth and grace. Their presence in the palace was believed to bring fortune, harmony, and divine blessing to the kingdom. And in the lands of the Far East, beneath roofs that curved like wings, queens and empresses too bore divine light. Wu Zetian, who ruled in China, was honored as the incarnation of the cosmic mother, the great force that births the heavens and the earth. To her, the empire bowed as though to the celestial order itself. She was not only sovereign, she was the living mandate of heaven. Even in the lands of the West, whispers of sacred queens were known. In the green hills of Celtic tribes, queens were tied to the land itself. A king ruled only if the queen, symbol of the goddess, symbol of the earth, accepted him. Her body, her spirit, her blessing, all were bound to the soil, the rivers, the stones. To drink from her cup was to drink from the land's lifeblood. To marry her was to marry the goddess of the isle itself. The idea was always the same, no matter the tongue, no matter the land. A queen was not only mortal, she was the doorway of the divine. Her body was a temple. Her crown was the rising sun. Her throne was the center of the cosmos, where the heavens bent low to touch the earth. Imagine now stepping into one of these sacred courts. Golden lamps glow softly. The air carries the perfume of myrrh and rose. Silk drapes whisper as they move with the breeze. At the far end of the hall, a throne rises, carved with lions, lotus, and stars. Upon it sits the queen, her face calm, her eyes steady, her presence radiant. Her attendants bow low. Her people watch in reverence. To gaze upon her is to glimpse the eternal. To hear her voice is to hear the river of heaven flowing through mortal lips. She is both near and distant, both flesh and flame. She is the bridge that binds the seen and unseen. For queens, as divine figures, carried more than power. They carried the mystery of balance. They reminded the world that strength can be gentle, and that gentleness can be strong. They reminded their people that the divine is not far away, hidden in unreachable skies, but present in the human, in the living, in the breath of a woman upon her throne. Drift now with this thought, as though floating upon a calm sea. The courts fade, the golden lamps grow dim, the throne dissolves into light. The queens retreat into memory, yet their presence lingers like the echo of soft bells in the night. Breathe gently. Let the image of their crowns shimmer like stars above you. Let their voices fall away into silence, like waves returning to the shore. The divine is close as your own heartbeat. Now rest as the stars return to their watch. Let us drift onward, deeper into dream, where queens and goddesses still walk quietly among us. Night gathers gently. The stars are clear like jewels scattered upon the dark sky. A soft wind moves through ancient courtyards, carrying the scent of jasmine and sandalwood. In the distance, a temple stands. Its walls are carved with flowing patterns, its steps worn smooth by centuries of prayer. Within its heart, light flickers, lamps burning steadily, their glow golden and kind. The air hums with quiet expectation. And then, the dancers appear. They move slowly at first, their feet brushing the stone floor like whispers of silk. Their veils float like clouds drifting on a gentle breeze. Each step, each gesture is not only art, it is prayer. The temple dancers do not speak with words. They speak with their hands, with their eyes, with the tilt of their heads, with the turning of their bodies. Through rhythm they weave devotion. Through beauty they lift the heart of the people toward the heavens. In many lands across many ages, temples welcomed such dancers. They were guardians of grace, messengers between human and divine. Their dance was not for amusement. It was offering, like incense rising, like water poured, like candles lit in the night. Their movements carried meaning, each one a thread connecting earth to sky. In India, the Devadasis were bound to the service of the temple. Their dances were stories of gods and goddesses, of creation, of love, of sorrow, of triumph. With the arch of an eyebrow, they spoke of longing. With the sweep of an arm, they told of rivers flowing. With the rhythm of their feet, they echoed the beat of the cosmos itself. Those who watched felt themselves drawn into the tale, as though for a moment they too touched the world of the divine. The dance was not only movement, it was discipline, each step learned through years of devotion, each gesture handed down from teacher to student. Like flame passed from one candle to another. In the stillness of night, dancers would rehearse, guided by the rhythm of drums and the murmur of hymns. Their art was worship. Their bodies became the altar. Their breath became the hymn. In the lands of Cambodia and Siam, dancers adorned with golden crowns performed in temples lit by torches. Their hands curved like lotus petals. Their bodies moved as though water itself had taken human form. Slowly, gracefully, they shifted from one sacred pose to another, telling the stories of God's descending, of spirits blessing the harvest, of the eternal dance between heaven and earth. To the people, these women were not only dancers, they were living symbols of harmony. Each performance was believed to keep the balance between the kingdom and the unseen world. In ancient Egypt, too, temple dancers offered themselves in service. They were called the accompanists of the gods. Their steps echoed the cycles of the Nile, the rising and falling of life itself. Their dances were performed during festivals when music filled the air and the statues of gods were carried out in processions. They swayed before the altars, their bracelets chiming softly, their movements like waves shimmering in the desert heat. Their purpose was to delight the gods, to awaken joy in the unseen realm, and to remind mortals that life was not only toil, but also rhythm, beauty, and grace. Even in Greece, the sacred was linked to dance. The priestesses of Dionysus and Apollo would sway in circles, their arms lifted toward the stars. They danced in groves, in temples, and on stone floors polished by centuries of steps. Each turn of the body mirrored the turning of the heavens. Each leap echoed the eternal pulse of creation. The dance was the cosmos in motion, made visible before human eyes. Close your eyes now and imagine you are seated within one of these ancient temples. The air is cool, carrying the fragrance of oil lamps and fresh flowers laid upon the altar. Drums begin, soft and steady like a heartbeat. A flute rises, its notes drifting like moonlight over water, and then the dancers emerge. Their veils shimmer as they move, glowing with threads of gold. Their anklets ring gently, marking time with each step. Their faces are serene, their eyes half closed, as though they are gazing inward toward mysteries unseen. Each movement slows your breath. Each rhythm calms your mind. You feel yourself drawn into the flow, as though your own spirit is swaying, turning, and bowing in devotion. The dance tells a story. It may be the birth of the world, when waters parted and light rose. It may be the tale of a goddess who descends into darkness and then rises again, carrying hope in her hands. It may be the blessing of rain upon dry fields, or the turning of seasons from death to renewal. But the story matters less than the feeling. The rhythm matters more than the words. What you sense is peace, beauty, harmony. The dance is prayer without speech. It is silence made visible. For centuries, these dancers gave themselves fully to the temple. They were not only artists, but servants of the sacred. Their lives were woven into ritual, into music, into devotion. They knew that to move with grace was to honor the gods. They knew that to dance with heart was to bless the people. They lived as reminders that beauty itself can be holy. That rhythm itself can heal. That devotion does not always come from words or from books, but from the body, from the breath, from the simple act of surrendering to movement. The memory of these sacred dancers lingers still. Even if temples crumble, even if empires fade, their devotion is not forgotten. It moves quietly through time like an echo. It remains in the art of dance, in the grace of ritual, in the soft reminder that our bodies are also vessels of prayer. Now the music softens. The drums grow faint. The flutes drift into silence. The dancers bow before the altar, their veils falling like wings folding to rest. The lamps flicker, and the temple grows still. You breathe slowly. Your heart is calm. The sacred dance continues, but now only in your dream. Each step is a ripple across the waters of your mind. Each gesture is a star fading gently into night. Rest, for the dancers have completed their offering. Rest, for the temple is at peace. Rest, as the stars return to their quiet watch above. Let us drift onward, deeper into the dream, where rhythm, beauty, and devotion flow forever like a gentle river. Here we reflect on cults where divine women symbolized balance and truth. Their presence guided laws, fairness, and the weighing of hearts. Approx. Word count? 1,600 words. The night drapes itself across the sky, a dark veil stitched with quiet stars. The air is cool, like water poured gently into waiting hands. You drift through this stillness, where the world of stories waits, calm and ancient, ready to guide your thoughts into softer lands. In this chapter, we step into the realm of mothers of justice, sacred women, once honored as guardians of truth. Their presence carried weight and balance, like scales held steady by invisible hands. Their eyes reflected fairness, their voices carried the rhythm of law, yet their touch was always tender, like the hush of a lullaby. Long ago, in temples glowing with oil lamps, the air thick with incense and prayer, there were women who were seen as the very breath of order. To some they were priestesses, to others they were queens, to all they were mothers, mothers of justice, guiding hearts as carefully as one might guide a child's first steps. The ancient Egyptians spoke of Ma'at, not only a goddess but a principle woven into the fabric of the universe. She was the feather of truth, the breath of harmony, the unseen hand that kept chaos at bay. When a soul crossed into the next life, its heart was placed on the scale beside her feather. If it was heavy with dishonesty, the soul would falter. But if it was light, pure and steady, the spirit would rise like dawn. Think of that image now. A scale in a quiet chamber, golden light falling across polished stone, a heart on one side, a feather on the other, the silence of eternity watching. This was justice, not harsh, not cruel. but calm, balanced, and exact. It was the mother's hand, even and unwavering. Across deserts and rivers, other lands told of such mothers too. In Greece there was Themis, a goddess holding the scales. She was not blind, as later statues showed, but wide-eyed, watching the world with compassion. Her daughters, called the Horai, were said to guard the seasons and the natural law. Their duty was not to punish, but to keep the cycles flowing, ensuring fairness in the turning of time. In India, another voice of justice rose, Durga, radiant and fierce. She held weapons in her many hands, yet her face was serene. Her justice was not cruel, but protective. She guarded the innocent. She stood against the shadows, not with anger, but with clarity. To her devotees, she was not only a warrior, but a mother who shielded her children, ensuring peace through her balance of strength and love. Close your eyes now, and imagine the courts of these sacred women. Stone pillars rising toward twilight skies, priests and rulers bowing low, and at the center, a figure cloaked in white or gold, holding a feather, a scale, a symbol of truth. The room is silent except for the faint crackle of oil lamps and the beating of hearts awaiting judgment. Yet even here, there is no fear, only calm assurance. For justice in its purest form is not cruelty. It is the even breath, the guiding hand, the mother who ensures that all children are treated fairly. The law of the divine woman was not built from stone tablets or stern decrees. It was born of the heart, born of the quiet, knowing that harmony is the song of creation itself. The stories whisper on. In the temples of Mesopotamia, the goddess Shamash, though often called a sun god, was accompanied by sacred women who carried his light into human courts. They sang hymns of fairness, reminding kings that no throne can stand unless its base is steady with truth. Without balance, the palace crumbles. Without justice, the world bends into shadow. But with balance, the river flows. The crops rise. Children sleep without fear. The people sing and the stars shine brighter, knowing the world rests in safe hands. Drift now into a softer thought. Picture a mother not of flesh alone, but of principle. Her arms are vast, stretching across the sky. In her hands she holds every life, weighing them gently, not to condemn, but to guide. Her voice is the hush of wind in tall grass. Her eyes are lanterns of evening light. She is neither strict nor lenient, but steady, always true. This was how the ancients saw their mothers of justice, not as distant figures, but as ever-present guardians. They whispered her name when they made promises. They carved her feather on their tombs. They sang her hymns at dawn, hoping their hearts might remain light when the final scale awaited. And so, you drift with these stories. Your own breath becomes a balance. Inhale, exhale, rising, falling, steady as a scale. Your heart, in this quiet hour, feels lighter. Not because it is judged, but because it is held by the same unseen hands that guided the ancients through life and beyond. Justice in this form is rest. It is the soul's alignment with the rhythm of the stars. It is the gentle reminder that all things, in time, return to balance. No storm can last forever. No weight remains on the scale. All drifts back to harmony. The temples grow dim in the mind's eye. The incense fades. The voices fall silent. Only the Mother of Justice remains, standing calm, her presence like moonlight. Her scales are balanced. Her feather is still. The chamber doors close softly, and the night embraces you once more. Let us drift onward now, to the next story, the next dream. Rest as the Mothers of Justice watch over you, their presence eternal, their love unbroken. Now close your heart like a flower at dusk and breathe in the calm of their balance. The stars return and all is even. All is true. The night deepens and the stars lean closer as though listening. The air is calm, a velvet hush stretched across the sleeping earth. You drift again into the dream world of old stories where doors were not mere wood and stone, but sacred crossings. Here, women of spirit stood as guardians, watching the thresholds of both home and temple. In the ancient world, the door was never just an opening. It was a passage, a fragile seam between safety and the unknown. To step through a doorway was to leave one world and enter another. And so, thresholds needed protection, not only of brick or bronze, but of spirit. This is where the protectors stood. Women of sacred presence, invoked in prayer, honored in ritual, and trusted to guard what lay within. In the lands of Egypt, goddesses were carved into lintels and painted on temple gates. Taweret, the great hippo-shaped mother, was one such protector. She guarded households and births, her image placed at entrances to keep harm at bay. She was fierce in form, yet her spirit was motherly. Her very presence promised safety. At the doorway of a home, her figure whispered, "Inside you are safe. Inside you are held." Beside her stood Bess, a guardian spirit often paired with sacred women. Together they turned thresholds into sanctuaries. To pass through a door was to step beneath their eyes, to be wrapped in invisible arms. Far across the desert, in the temples of Greece, Hecate watched the crossroads. Her torches lit the ways where paths divided. She was honored at gates, her statues placed by thresholds, where families whispered her name to guard their homes through the night. She was not seen as cruel, but as watchful, her presence like a lantern glowing in the dark. To the weary traveler, she was a guide. To the household, she was a shield. Her power was invoked not in noise, but in quiet devotion. Candles left by doorways, offerings placed at gates. In Rome, the household was never without guardians. The lares and penates, spirits of hearth and threshold, were remembered daily. Mothers lit lamps in their honor. Prayers drifted like smoke through doorways, rising to the invisible women who shielded the family. It was said that without these guardians, a home was hollow, a house without its soul. But with them, the rooms breathed with protection. Children laughed freely, fires burned steadily, and the threshold became a safe crossing from the world outside to the peace within. Imagine now, a great temple gate beneath a rising moon. Two massive doors of cedar banded in bronze. Carved into them are figures of women, with outstretched arms, their robes flowing like rivers, their faces calm and unblinking. To pass beneath them is to feel a hush fall over you. Your breath slows, your heart steadies. You know you are being watched, not in judgment, but in care. Every threshold was sacred. Every threshold was a prayer in stone. Threshold guardians were not only carved in temples, they lived in memory and story too. In India, the goddess Lakshmi was invited to the threshold each dawn and dusk. Women traced her footprints in rice flour across the floor leading to the doorway, welcoming her presence. She brought not only wealth but protection, turning a household into a place of peace. The simple act of sweeping the threshold clean, of lighting a small lamp there, was seen as an offering of love, a call to the goddess to linger by the gate. Thresholds are fragile spaces. They are neither inside nor outside, but both. Neither past nor future, but the moment of crossing between. This is why they needed guardians. Mothers of protection, sisters of strength, dancers of the unseen veil. They were called by many names, yet their essence was the same: to guard the family, to shield the temple, to remind all who entered that peace lives here. Think of your own heart now as a threshold, one side facing the world outside with its noise and weight, the other side opening to the quiet within, where the soul rests. At this threshold, too, a guardian waits, not stern, not harsh, but gentle. She holds a torch of calm light, shielding you from shadows. She whispers of safety. She assures you that what lies within is sacred and cannot be harmed. You breathe easier knowing she stands watch. The ancients believed that no gate was ever left unguarded. Every passage, whether of house or heart, was wrapped in unseen arms. And when a traveler returned home, the first prayer was always at the threshold. The first word was always to the guardian. It was she who watched while they were gone, she who welcomed them back when their journey was complete. Picture now a village, stone homes glowing under starlight. At each doorway, a small lamp flickers. Its light is not only for the people, but for the protectors who stand unseen, women of spirit, with calm eyes and steady hands, holding the line between outside and in. Their strength is quiet, yet unshakable. Because of them, the night is not frightening. Because of them, the people sleep without fear. So let your mind rest at this threshold. Imagine yourself standing before a gentle doorway. Its wood is warm to the touch. Its frame hums with ancient presence. On the other side waits peace, like a room lit softly by lanterns. And beside you stands the guardian, a sacred woman of light, watching with patience, guiding you across. You step through slowly and feel the weight of the day fall away. The threshold closes behind you and only calm remains. The stories fade, like footsteps disappearing down a quiet road. But the guardians remain, as they always have, by gates, by temples, by households, and by the heart. They are the mothers of safety, the sisters of care, the protectors of thresholds. Rest now as they stand watch. Let the night wrap around you, soft as a cloak. Let the stars keep their silent vigil above. The doors are closed, the lamps are lit, the protectors stand firm. You are safe. You are sheltered. Now let us drift onward to another story, another dream. The protectors remain behind, standing at the door, while you move deeper into the soft corridors of sleep. Now rest. As the stars return, the night is soft, but in the distance a glow lingers on the horizon. It is not the harsh blaze of day, but a memory of sunlight woven into the quiet dark. You drift toward it gently, as though guided by a golden thread. The dream carries you into ancient lands, where the sun itself was honored as a living god, and where women were chosen to carry his warmth upon the earth. In many places, the sun was not only fire in the sky, it was spirit, it was life, it was the eternal eye that watched all. To stand in its glow was to be blessed. To serve it was to become a vessel of the divine. And so, there were women, known as the brides of the sun. They were not brides in the mortal sense, but in spirit. They belonged to the light. They walked in radiance. They embodied the warmth that gave life to fields, to waters, and to human hearts. In Egypt, the great god Ra rose each dawn, sailing his golden bark across the heavens. The land glowed with his passing, and temples turned toward his light. Among his servants were women who sang to the sunrise. They were dressed in linen the color of dawn, their hair crowned with lotus flowers, their arms lifted as the horizon brightened. They were called the eyes of Ra, the living rays that shone upon the earth. Each movement, each hymn, was seen as carrying a spark of the sun's own fire. In Incan lands high among the mountains, the sun god Inti was father of kings. The chosen women of his temple were called the virgins of the sun. They lived in quiet devotion, tending sacred fires, weaving cloth as fine as beams of light. Their cloth was not only fabric but prayer. Golden threads glimmered within it, like strands of sunlight caught and held. These women were honored as daughters of the day, their lives bound to warmth and radiance. When the first light touched the peaks, they bowed, and it was said the mountains themselves bowed with them. In Greece, the bride of the sun was imagined in the figure of Helios's daughters. The Heliades were bathed in radiance, their beauty shining like the sky at dawn. When they walked, it was said the air shimmered. When they wept, their tears hardened into amber, like drops of sunlight frozen in time. They embodied both beauty and grief, a reminder that the sun gives life, but also burns. Yet still, their role was holy, to carry the brightness of the heavens within mortal form. Across these lands, a pattern glows clear. The sun was too great, too vast, for people to touch directly, and so its light was carried through women, through song, through ritual, through devotion. They became the golden bridge between earth and sky, between human and divine. Imagine a temple now, its walls painted in warm ochre, its floor glowing with mosaics of suns. The air smells of sweet resin, smoke rising like faint rays of dawn. Within, women move slowly, their steps in rhythm, their veils drifting like morning mist. In their hands they hold lamps, flames glowing like captured sunlight. They are brides not to a man, but to the eternal star above. Their vows are not spoken in words, but in silence, in gesture, in prayer. To watch them is to feel the day rise within you. The sun itself was seen as a bridegroom. In hymns and chants it was called the eternal companion, the one who never failed to return. At night it departed, yet at dawn it came again, faithful and sure. The women who served it were reminders of this eternal promise, that light always returns, that warmth is never gone for long. They stood as living dawns, their very presence calming the fears of night. The people prayed to them not as gods, but as vessels. A farmer might whisper his hopes for rain to a bride of the sun. A mother might offer her child's name at the temple gate. And as the women lifted their songs, those hopes were carried upward, woven into light itself. The prayers became as golden threads stretched into the heavens. Think now of your own life. There are moments of shadow, and there are moments of light. The brides of the sun remind us that the light is never truly gone. Even in the night it lingers. Even in silence it waits to rise again. They stand at the edges of memory, holding torches, reminding us that every darkness is followed by dawn. The ancient stories tell us that warmth is not only fire. It is care, it is beauty. It is the gentle radiance of those who carry kindness in their hearts. The brides of the sun were not powerful through force, but through their stillness, through their devotion, through the way they let light pass through them without resistance. In this way they were mirrors of the eternal star, not blazing but glowing, not harsh but tender. Now picture the horizon once more. The sky is deep blue tinged with pale silver. Then slowly a glow gathers, first soft, then golden, then radiant. You see figures in the light, women robed in flowing garments, their veils glowing like dawn. They step forward, their hands open, carrying the warmth of 1,000 suns. They move not toward you but around you, wrapping you in their radiance. You feel safe, you feel calm, you feel warmed from within. The brides of the sun walk with you only as far as you need. Then they return to the horizon, back to their temples, their chants, their dawn-lit prayers. But their presence remains, like a soft glow within your chest. The warmth they carried now rests in you. The radiance of their vows lingers like a quiet flame. And so the story softens, like the last rays of sunset fading into twilight. The brides of the sun remain eternal, not bound to time, not bound to place, but woven into every rising dawn. They are reminders that light is loyal, that warmth is never lost, that beauty and power can live in silence and devotion. Let the glow settle within you. Let your breath slow like the turning of the sky. Rest now, knowing that the brides of the sun still walk across the horizon, carrying their lamps of gold. They guard the dawn. They guard the day. They guard your sleep. Now drift onward as the night holds you close. Now rest as the stars return. The night deepens. The stars shine quietly, their silver light falling across valleys and cliffs. In the dream of this chapter, you drift into the hush of wild places, where the world lies untouched, where winds are slow, and silence holds every stone. It is here, in hidden caves and mountain shelters, that women once chose to dwell, hermitesses of ancient memory. They left behind cities, voices, and crowds. They sought the language of stillness, and in their solitude they found wisdom like clear water in a deep well. In the deserts of Egypt, when Christianity was still young, men and women alike fled to the sands. They wished to escape the noise of kingdoms and markets, seeking instead the presence of God in wind and stone. Among them were women, hermitesses hidden by the dunes. They wrapped themselves in plain cloth, lived on bread and dates, and prayed beneath the stars. Their names are mostly lost, but stories whisper of their strength. It was said their silence was more powerful than sermons, their stillness more radiant than temples. Far to the east, in the mountains of China, there were Taoist women who chose seclusion. They wandered into forests heavy with mist, finding caves where waterfalls sang. There they meditated, breathing slowly, joining their spirits with the flow of nature. They were called cloud dwellers, for their lives were hidden, soft as drifting vapors. In silence, they read the scriptures of stone and tree. A leaf falling in autumn was their teacher. A stream shaping the earth was their prayer. They learned that stillness was not emptiness, but fullness. The whole sky reflected in a single drop. In India, hermitesses were known as yoginis. Some left villages to live by rivers or in mountain caves. Their homes were little more than stone shelters, yet inside they carried kingdoms of spirit. They sang to the dawn, chanted to the twilight, their voices soft as bells. Travelers said that to meet one of them was to feel the air grow calm, as if the earth itself hushed to listen. They spoke little, but their silence carried meaning. A raised hand, a gentle glance was enough to teach, for in solitude their hearts had become mirrors, clear, steady, reflecting the truth of all who came before them. The stories of hermitesses are quiet stories. They are not tales of battles nor of crowns. They are tales of waiting, of breathing, of learning to be small before the endless sky. Each one reminds us that wisdom does not shout, it whispers. It lives in silence, where the soul can finally hear. Imagine now a desert night. The sky is wide, sprinkled with stars. A small cave lies in a cliff face, its entrance dark, its floor smoothed by years of prayer. Inside, a hermitess sits in stillness. Her hair is silver, her eyes are closed, her breath steady like the tides of the sea. No lamp burns beside her. The moonlight alone is her companion. The silence around her is not empty. It is full of presence, full of unseen company, full of the quiet hum of the eternal. The hermitesses taught without books. Their wisdom came from watching the world with patient eyes. They saw how rivers never rushed, yet always reached the sea. They saw how mountains stood silent, yet were never defeated by wind or storm. They saw how the sun rose each morning without fail, needing no praise to shine. From these lessons, they learned to live with patience, with strength, with quiet joy. Sometimes seekers came to them. Travelers wandered through deserts or forests and stumbled upon their caves. The hermitesses rarely spoke. Instead, they offered bread or a place to rest. Their silence itself was the teaching. The seeker would sit, the night passing around them, and slowly they would understand. Stillness is its own kind of speech. It says, "You are enough. The world is vast. Rest here, for the stars are already shining." In the mountains of Japan, there were women who lived as yamabushi, mountain hermits who sought harmony with the land. They walked hidden paths, bathed in streams, prayed among cedars. Their lives were woven into the rhythm of wind and stone. It was believed they carried the secrets of spirits, for in their solitude they became listeners. Birdsong spoke to them. Thunder spoke to them. Even silence spoke to them. They returned from their retreats with eyes shining, bringing wisdom too deep for words. The hidden hermitesses remind us of the sacredness of retreat. Not all journeys are outward. Some journeys are inward, to step away, to sit in stillness, to breathe with the trees or the stars. This too is a holy path. In their solitude, they carried the balance of the world. They held silence so that others could find peace. Think now of a forest path at twilight. The leaves rustle gently. Mist curls along the ground. Somewhere ahead, a small hut stands, its walls woven from branches, its roof heavy with moss. Inside, a hermitess kneels by a small flame. She hums softly, a sound like water on stone. Her eyes meet yours. There is no judgment, only stillness, only quiet welcome. You step inside, and the silence holds you like a cloak. Your breath slows. Your thoughts soften, for in this hidden dwelling there is no need to be more than you are. The hermitesses lived apart, yet their presence touched many. They were like hidden wells in a dry land. Few found them, yet those who did drank deeply of peace. Their lives show us that solitude is not loneliness. It is union with the vast. It is becoming small enough to touch the eternal. As the story softens, imagine yourself lying in stillness. The mountains rise around you, the desert stretches wide. The forest breathes with quiet life. Somewhere in a hidden cave, a hermitess prays, her words drifting into the night like incense. Her prayer is for peace, for stillness, for rest. It reaches you gently, like a feather carried on the wind. And so the hidden hermitesses remain, not in the noise of history, but in the silence between stars. They remind you that stillness is holy. They remind you that solitude is not emptiness, but fullness, overflowing with light. They remind you that wisdom can be found in the quietest corners of the soul. Let your breath soften. Let your heart be still. Like the hermitesses of old, you too are held by silence. You too are cradled by the eternal night. Now rest, as the mountains watch over you. Now drift, as the stars return. Now sleep, as the hidden hermitesses keep their eternal vigil. The night deepens. The stars hum softly in their quiet places. The air is still, as if the whole world has bowed its head in gentle reverence. You drift into this chapter as one drifts into a cradle of light. It is the story of the Eternal Mother, a presence known across lands and ages, called by many names, yet always the same in her essence. The one who holds, the one who nourishes, the one who never lets go. In the beginning, many cultures spoke of her. She was the earth beneath the feet, the sky above the head, the waters that gave life. She was not distant, but near as the breath itself. Some saw her as a vast goddess, crowned with stars, her robe woven of clouds. Others saw her as a quiet spirit, dwelling in hearth and home, whispering comfort through firelight. Always she was the same. A mother beyond blood, a mother eternal. In Egypt, she was Isis, her wings spread wide, sheltering the living and the dead alike. It was said her tears filled the Nile each year with floods, so that fields would grow rich and green. When her beloved Osiris fell, she gathered his broken body with love. Her devotion restored him, and from her arms came new life. To call upon her was to call upon mercy itself, a mother who hears every cry. In Greece, they honored Gaia, the earth itself. From her womb came mountains, rivers, forests, and stars. She was the ground beneath the sandals, the soil that carried seeds, the stone that held the world steady. To lie upon the earth was to lie in her arms. To plant a seed was to trust her gentle care. Her patience was vast, her love unshaken. In India, she is remembered as Devi, the divine feminine. She wears many faces: Durga, fierce protector; Lakshmi, giver of abundance; Parvati, mother of love. Yet beneath each form is the same truth. the Eternal Mother guiding, nourishing, protecting. In stories, her hands bless the universe. Her eyes hold endless compassion. She carries both strength and tenderness, for a mother must be both shield and song. Among the peoples of the Americas, the mother was the earth itself, often called our grandmother. She was the soil that gave corn, the rivers that fed the fields, the rain that fell in kindness. Children learned early to give thanks before eating, for each grain was a gift from the ancient mother. To walk upon the earth was to walk upon her body. To hear thunder was to hear her voice. She was never far, always present, always giving. And in quiet chapels where candles glowed in silence, many turned to Mary, the gentle mother of Christ. Her image held a child, but her arms opened wider to all souls who sought comfort. She was called Mater Misericordiae, Mother of Mercy. She was a lamp in the darkness, a star for those lost at sea. Prayers rose to her like soft songs, for she was thought to intercede, to listen, to soothe. Her love was not bounded by time. Through each name, through each tradition, the essence is the same. The Eternal Mother is not only one figure, but the great archetype woven into human memory. She is presence. She is tenderness. She is the quiet strength that upholds the fragile. When storms rage, she is the shelter. When hearts break, she is the arms that gather the pieces. When all seems lost, she is the whisper, "You are still mine. You are still loved." Imagine now the night sky above you. The stars stretch like jewels, their light cool and steady. In that vast dome of darkness and silver, picture her, a mother so large, her robe spans the horizon. Her hair is the Milky Way, her breath the wind, her eyes the moon. She bends low yet never crushes. She holds yet never binds. You lie in her embrace as safely as a child in a cradle. In dreams her voice is soft. It is the sound of water flowing in a hidden spring. It is the sound of lullabies sung long ago. It is the sound of wind moving gently through tall grass. Her words are not commands. They are blessings. They tell you that rest is sacred. They tell you that every soul is worthy. They tell you that you are not alone, for her love holds all. In her embrace, pain softens, fear dissolves, even sorrow finds rest. The Eternal Mother does not demand, does not punish. She only receives, like the earth receives the fallen leaf, like the sea receives the river, like the night receives the weary traveler. Her arms are wide enough for every heart. Her love is endless, like the horizon itself. The hermitesses of old felt her presence in their caves. The dancers in temples moved as vessels of her joy. The protectors at thresholds invoked her strength. The mothers of justice carried her balance, and the brides of the sun shone with her radiance. Every chapter of the story has been hers. Every thread of devotion, every whisper of prayer leads back to her endless embrace. Think now of dawn. The first light touches the horizon. Birds begin their gentle song. The Eternal Mother is there, weaving day from night, turning darkness to gold. Her presence is in the warmth of sunlight, in the cool dew upon the grass, in the steady beating of your heart. She has always been here. She will always be here, and so as night drifts into dawn, let her cradle you. Let her whisper lullabies older than time. Let her hold your weary thoughts, your quiet worries, your deepest longings. All of them rest safely in her vast embrace. Now your breath slows. Now your body softens. Now your spirit rests. For the Eternal Mother watches over you, gentle and near. Let us drift onward into the arms of her love. Now rest as the stars return to silence. Now sleep, for the Eternal Mother holds you forever and always.